Hello, and, well, this is a bit of an impromptu video. Armored Core 6 is real! It's alive! And there's been some developments since it, came out, or since the trailer came out. And I wanted to do a kind of a, not quite a frame-by-frame analysis of the trailer, but first thing, we have confirmation from an IGN interview with Miyazaki and Yamamura that Armored Core 6 is going to be an Armored Core game, not a Souls game. So we're just going to get that out of the way. It's Armored Core, not Souls. Granted, I have no doubt that there will be Souls elements in the game, but we'll see. So we're just going to make this full screen, and we're going to go through this a little bit frame by frame. So I'm going to put a link to this video, the trailer, in the description, and a link to the IGN article. It is a very cool trailer. So this right here. Oh, I missed it. Go back. So this is looks very similar to like a nervous system, but these like red particles are forming a nervous system. It reminds me a bit of the Kojima particles from Armored Core 4 and 4 Answer. So then, this presumably these particles cause this fireball we see here. I'm just going to pause that here. So this is a city. You have these buildings here and more buildings. Presumably, this we don't really have any context for what kind of planet this was. If it was a rocky planet or what, but it's being burned. Just goosh, fireball, and everything's starting to melt. And yeah, there was a press release that was sent out, as well as the description on the Steam page that talks about how talks about how this substance that was found on Rubicon 3 set fire to the solar system, which is a bit more much larger scale of destruction than Armored Core has ever had previously. In previous games, it's always been pretty localized to, at minimum, just the planet itself. Even as far back as the original games, they had the Great Destruction, which locked humanity underground. But this is extreme. Feed the fire. Go ahead and let that go. We get this ashen. This is very like Dark Souls 3 visually, with all the ashes everywhere. Very Soulsy 3. Just visually, at least. With elements of the red particles in the air. Let the last cinders burn. So, feed the fire, let the last cinders burn. That is very much a Dark Souls motif about restarting the fire of the first flame to hold on to the past and whatnot, which in perpetuating the cycle. Armored Core has also always had some amount of cycles. Like in Armored Core 1, you have two endings to the game where you either side with Chrome or Murakumo. If you side with Murakumo, it actually shows a different ending from the Chrome ending, where another company has risen up to challenge Murakumo Millennium, and as a continuous cycle. So I'm curious to see how that kind of motif is explored in this game. And visually, this is a servo picking up an arm from a battlefield of just dead mechs everywhere. Just look at all of them. hold on. Capture cursor so I can actually point at things. Okay. So I'm gonna pause here. This looks very Armored Core-y, and specifically Armored Core 3, the Gen 3 or Gen 4. Doesn't have the blocky cinder block look of the mechs from the Gen 5 games, which I'm happy for. We've had arms like this in this style in previous games, and can't really zoom in on the video, but there's a screenshot of this, and you can see the thruster ports on the side of the shoulder joint here, as well as a lock-in joint for presumably extension / shoulder type weapon equipment. And of course, there's this just backpack of stuff. I don't know how relevant this picture will be to the game. I don't know if we're actually going to, if there'll be missions where we have to go collect stuff from the battlefield. That would kind of be interesting. I know we've had to retrieve items in previous games, but maybe this will be more of we'll have a mission that's actually just going on a scrap run to survive. Who knows? And we do see at least what looks like one gun, which is right here, which is just stacked on with this stuff. But the rest of this is way more visually interesting. See explosions. So, explosions in the distance. Now, this quadruped is jumping up. We don't know if that's more like just a jump or if it's actually flying kind of jump. We'll see. There's explosion back off in the background. And then we see these little smaller mechs wielding rifles, shooting at it, and straight up primal armor. Now, that primal armor did dissipate pretty quickly. So primal armor was a big thing in 4 and 4 Answer. It was a big part of the game, and it was very relevant to the plot. I don't know how relevant to the plot this will be, since this planet's already destroyed, but so we can clearly see it's a sphere shield, and that's how it worked in 4 and 4 Answer. And even in Verdict Day, the white glint prototype thing, the black glint as people call it, it had a spherical primal armor shield as well. Now, whether this will be a we don't exactly know if this will be a core power or a thing you equip on the back, or all cores have it. We don't know yet, because this is just a trailer. But something similar-esque to primal armor is at least in the game, based on this. There we go. I just want to look at all these thrusters here. Oh, that's a good shot. Proper thrusters everywhere. Thrusters on the back. And so we have a shotgun here. And it does look like a hangar bay weapon, similar to what 5 and Verdict Day had, so you'd carry multiple arm weapons. I'm hoping that rear-mounted cannon weaponry make a return. But then we do have another. So interestingly enough, so the quad legs look cool. The core is very Gen 3-esque, where you have the angled main plates in this center piece. And then the head is very similar to heads from the older gens. So Gen 3 had the I series heads, where they have a singular eye in the center. The starting AC has a head very similar to this in Armored Core Nexus and Last Raven. The starting AC's head is very similar. The arms are Can't really get a good look at the arms, but anyway, this weapon. It's a that's a good view actually of the thruster nozzles and the shoulder equipment notch to attach things to. This appears to be a bomblet launcher. As he throws it and just... Let me actually slow it down. Not that. Make it 0.25. So, throw it out. You see all the bomblets go launching. Oh, this is actually a good view of these tiny mechs. These are very MT-esque. They have one gun arm, and then they have a manipulator arm. And a couple of them have cannons on the back. Or something that looks like a cannon. I'm hoping we see a return of MTs and that sort of thing. Armored Core 5 and Verdict Day was kind of dumb in that they labeled everything as an AC, and it was very dumb. We also get a good view of the back. We have this pod on the back. We're not entirely sure what that is. And it looks like another arm weapon that is on a hangar bay type thing. Not 100% sure. We don't get to see it in action, but we do get to see all these explosions. Now, what this tells me is this is going to be a weapon kind of like the bomblet launchers from previous games, or a more modern example, in 5 and Verdict Day, you had howitzer weapons and mortar weapons, which were manually aimed, kind of grenade launcher-esque weapons, but you didn't have a lock on, you just had to manually aim with them. But this appears to be more of like a... Like, visually, it fulfills the role of a melee weapon, but it's launching just a barrage of bombs. So, and it's clearly attached to the arm. So that'll be very interesting to see how this plays out. Explosions. That's a good view of the missile, actually. And this so they cut the way they cut this trailer, it's clear that there's different points in time. This might actually be just the intro to the game, the intro cutscene to the game, just cut to be less obvious. Missile comes in, impacts a energy shield that's clearly being equipped on the arm. So if that back pod was... If this is either that arm weapon that has multiple functions, or more likely, switch to the back pod, which was a energy shield, like the Gen 3 games. They had energy and physical shields. So that'll be very interesting if we have both primal armor and separate energy shielding. Maybe the shields, the primal armor has very limited durability, while the energy shields... much greater durability, but you can't keep them active for very long, or something like that. We're not entirely sure. Also, good view of the chest piece here. Oh, these boosters look great. That, visually, to me, looks like a quick boost. Or the charge boost, I guess, from 5 and Verdict Day. But we have boosters on the back, and boosters on the shoulders, and boosters on the legs. So we're back to proper booster configuration, instead of whatever was going on in 5 and Verdict Day. So, and of course, this is a shotgun, a very Spaz 12 style shotgun, with a completely useless foldable stock on it, but it looks cool. So it moves forward. Now, this, I'm very curious. Is this a core function? Or like are the cores themselves going to have separate abilities, like in the 3rd gen games, where you had Overboost and Exceed Orbit cores that were different from each other? Or are all cores kind of have core slots that you can attach core abilities into, so you can pick between having a orbit cannon or an overboost or primal armor or something like that. We don't know. Visually, this looks like a overboost, or not overboost, a assault armor, because it has all the particles of the primal armor system that then explode outwards. And he has this pile bunker, which visually looks baller. And then quick boost away. You can clearly see that spike went all the way through and punched out the back. And that is a very dead armored core. And now the rest of it is kind of... There we go. Big, giant, hunking mech. This reminds me of, like, the boss fights from 5 and Verdict Day, which I'm down for. I like the boss fights in 5 and Verdict Day, even if some of them were a bit too much. This could also be they could also mechanically be not too dissimilar to Arms Forts in For Answer, which were kind of boss fights, but more of like an environmental hazard, really. You had to blow up their weakness in order to kill them. It's interesting that this has boosters on the back and sides like an AC. Here we see a mecha on a giant tread platform with big-o cannons. We're not entirely sure what we're looking at, but I'm happy they're bringing back the giant helicopters. Those are cool. And then this visually, you can't really tell if these are armored cores or if these are other MT-like units. And this is big dual Gatling gun system. This reminds me so much. Hold on, go back. This visually, So the legs remind me a lot of the Aaliyah. The 03 Aaliyah frame, the Rayzar mech. The arm, the back, we don't really know what the front of these mechs look like, but visually, this scene reminds me of a cutscene from Armored Core Nexus, where a bunch of Mirage MTs launch out of a giant carrier, and they fly down to attack some crest units. Very cool. I like that they're going with the red visual aesthetic to draw the eye. And we have back to this mech, so we can get a good look at this guy here. Pile bunker, very cool. The core and the arms, this all screams like very visually similar to the Rayleonard 03 Aaliyah frame. And the head reminds me of kind of a mix of the Aaliyah head or the White Glint head. Very cool. And I'm not honestly sure what this means here. The switching of the visors. This could be going into scan mode, or this could just be a visual thing for the trailer. We don't know. It looks cool, though. And then we boost away. Armored Core 6. Fires of Rubicon. So, this does kind of break the traditional namings convention of Armored Core, because typically we'll have a numbered entry and then we'll have a subtitled entry following it. And it could be that this game has been in development for so long they've skipped they've just combined both. We don't really know. And honestly, I'm kind of excited. We'll have to wait and see how it goes. But I hope for everyone who is into Armored Core that they're excited, and hopefully it turns out to be a good game. So these are just all my thoughts about the trailer. Don't really have much else to say because we literally don't know a lot. We know it's set on another planet. You play as a mercenary coming in, and that's about it. That's what we know, story-wise. And this. Oh, and they're fighting over the substance that caused the catastrophe in the first place. Very, very Armored Core. And Soulsy, really, because of the flame stuff. Anyway, that's it. And goodbye.